Afro Comic Con 2021. Rewrite the future with us.
Good morning, good people of the world. Good morning to all. My name is Johwell St. Cilien. I am a filmmaker and executive director of a nonprofit called Negus World. And we have an incredible panel today. I want to take the time, first of all, to thank Afro Comic Con for bringing this incredible panel to you all. We have an amazing guest today, but before we bring him in, I want to take the time to please invite you all to make a donation, if you will. Afro Comic Con is a nonprofit that highlights the work of people of color, Black people. We have some amazing stuff that you can check out. If you will, check out afrocomiccon.org and please make a donation. So today we have an incredible guest, a good friend of mine, representing New York City's 16th Congressional District, Representative Jamal Bowman. Please give a round of applause for Jamal Bowman. How you doing, my brother?
I'm well, my brother. How are you? Goose up, man. It's good to see you.
Goose up. Yes. What time is it over there?
Oh, it's 9 a.m. my time.
It's 9 a.m. Yeah, 6 a.m. here, man. So I was excited. I woke up like about an hour ago. I couldn't wait. So Jamal Bowman, tell us a little bit about your incredible journey from, I don't know how many times we've done that, but, people haven't seen it. From educator to where you're at right now.
Wait a minute, man. My journey starts with me being a little Black boy in New York City, East Harlem, Upper East Side.
That's right.
Yeah, no doubt. So born and raised in New York City, in Manhattan on the Upper East Side, East Harlem section of Manhattan. Raised by my mom along with my three sisters. Went to public schools my whole life. Studied, played high school football, did pretty well. Went to college, played football in college. Studied sports management in college. Got out. Corporate America wasn't really my speed. It was a little too stuffy in there for me. So someone suggested to go into teaching, and I went into teaching and fell in love right away. So I started out as an elementary school teacher, then became a high school dean of students before opening my own middle school called the Cornerstone Academy for Social Action in the Northeast Bronx. And I was there for 10 and a half years. Had a great opportunity to work with yourself and Chad Harper. Shout out to Chad Harper, bringing innovation, creativity, hip hop, and all things awesome to the education system. And then, after that, I wanted to not just bring it to my kids at CASA, but I wanted to bring it to more kids and dive into other issues that, our kids are dealing with, like mental health and hunger and housing insecurity and lack of identity, self-esteem, and self-worth. So because of that, I decided to run for Congress, following the playbook of, AOC and the squad. And I was able to win, man. So now I've been in Congress, I was sworn in January 3rd, 2021. So 9 months.
Yeah, super dope. Just to give people a little more context about my following questions, as you know, I was born in France, Paris, moved here, and all throughout my life, I never had a Black teacher. My first time that I actually saw Black teachers teaching to Black kids is when I became an educator at Casa Middle School, when you gave me that opportunity. I mean, shout out to HipHop Saves Lives for bringing Charles Harper, HipHop Saves Life, for bringing the program to Casa Middle School, and me being a part of it. So as someone like me that has never had a Black teacher, what would you say to the young Joel, right? That's 10, 11-year-old. What would you tell him how important is the black representation?
Yeah, so obviously incredibly important. When I hear you say that you never had a black teacher, and the first time you saw black teachers teaching to black students was in my school, that I'm blown away by that, because I grew up in New York City, so I don't even want to take that for granted, because there are kids in New York City who probably didn't have black teachers either. But for me, I had a black teacher in fifth and sixth grade. Her name was Miss James. She looped with our class, so we had her 2 years in a row. And she was an incredible person and an incredible teacher, and gave me individual personalized attention that made me feel valued and important in a way that some other teachers before I had her did not. Other teachers that I had before her would literally sit at a desk and tell you to open your book to a particular page and do the assignment on that page. She walked around the room, looked over your shoulder, see how you were doing, told you to rethink things, something that should be common sense in every school, but wasn't happening in every school when I was a kid. And then when I went to junior high school, I had Mr. Eldridge, who was a black teacher, English teacher, who was incredible, who I'm still connected to now. Actually, when I was a candidate running for office, he invited me to be a keynote speaker at my junior high school's graduation, which was super dope. So Mr. Eldridge, and then we have Mr. Harrell also, who he told me once, I used to misbehave a lot in junior high school. He told me and one of my friends, if y'all don't get yourselves together, we can meet after school at 3:00. That's what Mr. Harrell said. So it was more than a teacher-student relationship. I mean, he was an older gentleman, so he was like a father figure to us. And we didn't mess around in his class. So all of that, obviously contributed to my sense of self and development and identity. And for Black children to never have that throughout their K-12 experience, I mean, you feel lost many times as you're going through school, and you feel like this space isn't for me, and the people who are supposed to be caring for me don't even know me or understand me, especially when you add curriculum that doesn't include Black history and culture. So it's essential. It's incredibly important.
Right. What would you tell young Joel that his voice is not
well
important?
Hopefully I would be young Joel's teacher, right? So I would be, the thing is, man, like the presence of a Black teacher alone, especially if they're coming from the right place, is enough. But the pushing of young Joel to be great, their best selves and greater than their own imagination, and that they are brilliant and valuable and genius, and that they can do better, is what I would consistently communicate. Because oftentimes, because of conscious and subconscious racism and bias, some teachers who are not Black don't really push Black kids to be great. One, because they don't want to go too hard and hurt them or break them, and then two, they think that that's all that they can produce, because they are, they either come from a race that's inferior or they've been trained to be inferior. So whatever they produce is the best that they could do.
Right. Yeah. I felt like every time I was stepping in that building, you were speaking to young Joel, and someone was speaking to young Joel for the first time. So that was super important. Some of the stuff that I saw at the school that I felt like we were all taken for granted is when you were talking to your students over the speakers, making a special announcement, and then you would end it by saying, "I love you." And that in itself, when you think about a lot of those kids that grew up without a father, to have not only someone teaching them, and I think 80% of your staff were people of color. It was really mirroring the population of the children.
Yeah.
So all this stuff were like really important. So we telling the story of Jamal Bowman. I understand is an incredible film director that's behind the camera telling the story about your journey, man. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, I haven't seen any of the cuts, so I have no idea what's in this story. But I'm sure it's pretty good. No, I mean, it's yeah, I wanted to be a part of a film like this, documentary. Documentary. I said it like you said it. Documentary. Your French accent. Documentary. I wanted to be a part of that because I think we did some really special things at CASA that can be inspiring and educational for others in education to do things differently and to try new things. So it started out as a story about CASA, and when I decided to do the crazy thing like run for Congress, it became a story about the transition from CASA and the transition to Congress. So yeah, again, I haven't seen any of the cuts, so I'm just waiting like everybody else. Waiting for it to come out and hopefully it could have an impact.
Yeah, it looks incredible. Don't worry about it. By the way, this incredible director is yours truly. I say this humbly. So I want to play a little game with you. So some of these questions I put together is straight up, I Googled it. It's for it's for fun. So if you don't know the answer, I don't think anybody would, but it pertains to you, and I wanted to set it up that way. So question number 1. Which of the following artists shares the same birthday as Jamal Bowman, which is April 1st? Is that Boots Riley? Is it Wesley Snipes? Is it Lauryn Hill? Or is it Nina Simone?
Yeah, that's actually a tough question because I think all of them are like in April or Aries, I think, right? Like, am I right about that part of it or no? I'm wrong about that.
No, you are not right. You are not correct.
Good. Okay, so I think I know this. I think it's Boots Riley.
Yes, you are correct. Wow, that is pretty incredible.
Yeah, I don't know how I forgot why I know that, but yeah, it's Boots Riley.
You're not secretly Googling, right?
No, I am not.
Okay, cool. and you at home, feel free to play the game along with us. Don't answer it too fast, brother. Give them time to. And by the way, please, as I mentioned earlier, Afrofuturism is a nonprofit that highlight the work of people of color. Please consider donating. You should see the link on the platform. Question number 2. Which of the following hip hop artists is not an heiress? Is it Pharrell Williams? Is it Cardi B? Is it Redman? Or is it Young Ma?
It's a tough one, man. Not in Aries. I'm going to say Redman.
That is incorrect. You want to take another shot at it?
Okay, I'll take another shot. Young Ma.
That is incorrect. It'll be Bronx own Cardi B.
Oh, I should have known that.
Yeah, you should.
You're way more obsessed with your birthday and your sign than I am. Enough research on my own birthday. But that's cool, man. Redman and Pharrell are Aries. I think I knew that.
Right. Well, speaking of obsessions, there's one thing that I'm very fascinating about. Do you know where I'm going with that?
I don't.
You don't. Okay.
You can go anywhere. So I'm ready for whatever you got.
So you are. I'm sorry. My headphones. You are left-handed.
Yes.
Right. So I have this whole theory about left-handed people. This is the first thing I notice, and I have this whole theory about it. But I'm not going to bother the people with it. You are a left-handed person, right? That's what's important.
Yes.
So here's my question for you: which of the following members of WuTang is left-handed?
I have no idea, man.
That's why I got multiple choice, so you don't have to guess.
So wait a minute. Is there more than one that's left-handed?
That's one of the answers. That's part of the answer. So you'll get to choose, right? So which of the following members of WuTang is left-handed? Is it Method Man? Is it Raekwon? Is it You God? Or is it all the above? Which of the following members of WuTang?
All of the above. All of the above.
That is correct. That is correct. So
that's an old standardized testing multiple choice trick. When in doubt, you pick all of the above or none of the above.
Is that right?
When in doubt, yes.
Okay, that's interesting. I wish I would have known that a long time ago. That would have come in handy. You see what I did there? Handy. Yes. All right, yeah. You watching the new WuTang Hulu series?
Yes, I am.
What do you think of it?
I love it, but I'm biased. So I'm trying to watch it objectively, just as a show. So there are times where it's awkward and it's weird and it's different, but I really appreciate them pushing the creative envelope and knowing that the RZA is the showrunner. Like I could see the RZA's prints all over this. So I love it, man. Plus, I love the actor that plays the RZA. I forget his name. Sorry. And some people there's been some complaints about how he's talking, whatever. The thing about it is the RZA talks in a very unique fashion. That's awkward for some people. So, I understand why he's talking like that, but I like it, man. I'm looking forward to I want to see the album creation process. So I'm happy that we're kind of into that part of the show. And season 1 was dope. I have absolutely no complaints about that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I'm getting a note that Rodney Barnes is one of the writers of WuTang, and he's going to be part of the Afro Comic Con this year. How do you feel about the direction that we are taking in terms of telling the story of the hip hop culture? Through TV shows like WuTang, and we also have multiple documentaries now that take us back to the source. How do you feel about all that?
Yeah, so I watch it all and I love it all. I like everything I see. I really liked Hip Hop Evolution, a documentary on Netflix. I think it's been 4 parts so far. I don't know if there are going to be more, but I thought that was well done. Just in terms of the East, West, South, different and MCs, producers, different elements of it. I thought it was very well done. The show, Get Up, I think it was Get Up, Get Down, The Get Down. The Get Down, I thought was a very good show. I don't know if it's coming back, but I thought it was really, really good. I heard it wasn't coming back.
No, it's canceled.
Yeah, and then the WuTang show I think is good, and then they have a documentary of Mics and Men that's good. So I think if hip hop is it's just so much, right? It's not just music, it's not just culture. It's not just a lifestyle. It's like it's life. Like hip hop is life itself. So to try to capture life itself, you can't do it. Like the book would be like this thick, right? And there'll be multiple chapters. So to tell parts of it, like the way, tell the story of WuTang, tell the story of Kendrick Lamar, whoever. The stories are so layered and so deep and so important to tell. It's critical. And I also like, and there are other shows that I'm missing, but hip hop is, I'm biased towards the creativity aspect of it, the personal backstories of it, and the MC aspect of it. I'm biased towards those three things. I really like that stuff. Because oftentimes, we only tell the story of hip hop as violence. You know what I'm saying? And yes, there's a violent part of it, because you got people living in trauma and poverty and all that. So yes, unfortunately, it is violence, and it's still violence, and that's what we're trying to change. But it's more than just the violence. And I think the more we tell the whole story, the more we can do something about the violence that's still killing people way too much.
Right. Well, the history of this country is violence. That's not what we talk about, though. So yeah. I think we can give hip hop the same treatment. Yeah. So hip hop, birthplace of hip hop, right?
Yes, I do. 1520 Sedgwick Avenue.
Right. Bronx, New York. Right.
Yep.
You are I'm losing my train of thought here. I'm sorry. You represent New York 16 congressional district, right? Yeah. And Bronx covers some of that, right?
Yeah.
So here's a question that pertains to that. Which of the following artists isn't from the Bronx? Is that Camp Lo? Is that MC Lyte? Is it Cardi B? Is it Swizz Beat? Which of the following artists is not from the Bronx?
I'm going to say MC Lyte.
And you are correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to trick you with Camp Lo because a lot of people don't know that they come from the Bronx.
Yeah, I would have said Camp Lo if you didn't have MC Lyte. Because I was pretty sure that she wasn't from the Bronx. I was like very, very sure of that.
Mm-hmm.
Only because she's my generation. And I remember when she came out. And when she came out, if she was from the Bronx, I would have known then.
Right.
Like when you came out back then, everybody knew where you were from. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no way you could do a song and not, especially if you were from the Bronx. Like everybody's gonna know you was from the Bronx.
Right.
Like KRS-One, Fat Joe, Showbiz and AG. Everybody knew that you was from the Bronx.
Right. So you did something that's pretty incredible lately. There's a new bill that passed. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So the Senate first passed a hip hop resolution recognizing August 11th as Hip Hop Recognition, History, Culture, and Celebration Day, recognizing 1520 Sedgwick Avenue as the birthplace of hip hop, recognizing August as Hip Hop History and Culture Month, and November as Hip Hop Celebration Month. I'm messing up some of the words in terms of exactly what it is, but basically it's the US Congress recognizing hip hop for what it is, which is a pure American creation that has contributed to, our political, social, and economic landscape and should be recognized as such, with the goal of allocating ultimately resources into building hip hop museums and archiving and memorializing aspects of the culture. So it's very exciting. So it's passed the Senate. I introduced it in the House. It should be passed in the House relatively soon. And it may sound like a small thing compared to like universal health care and investing in public schools and all that, which obviously those things are more important because we want to give people health care. But the thing about this is, many people identify with hip hop culture and as hip hop culture and as hip hop. This helps to affirm their identity. And that is critical to the self-worth and self-esteem of our kids and people growing up. So it's a big deal, man. Very, very proud of that.
Nah, it's super huge. I'm biased because I'm surrounded by people that grew up in the culture, but for everyone that I know, it's no small thing. Chart Hopper start writing a song and put it on the website and start reaching out to MCs around the world. So it's definitely a huge celebration given the reputation that has been given to the hip hop culture.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So hip hop is all about collaboration. Despite what a lot of people would say, you are huge on collaboration as well. From Casa, you were always about kids working together to be solution oriented, and even in Congress, from what I understand, you still try to do that. And back in the days, it was all about forming crews, right? One of those were the Native Tongues. Do you remember the Native Tongue?
Yes.
I think it started with Tropical Quest and De La Soul, and then it expanded to Queen Latifah. I know Queen Latifah, I think, was one of the core one as well.
Yeah, it was all, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, which of the following groups isn't part of the Native Tongue? Was it Black Sheep? Was it Soul of Mischief? Was it Money Love? Or is it all of the above?
Which of the following groups isn't part of the Native Tongue?
Right.
I mean, based on that list, is Souls of Mischief is the answer.
Okay.
But I would argue that, I don't know, I got to go back and listen to their stuff, but I would argue that they were probably affiliated, you know what I'm saying? If not down with them,
You are correct and correct. They were affiliated. They actually were on the Midnight Marauders album cover. Souls of Mischief, our very own Nigu Stagiaire, is a good friend of ours, and actually, I believe he's part of Afro Comic Con again this year.
So I want to say something about Native Tongue real quick, because the other members are Jungle Brothers, De La Soul, leaders of the new school, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as a kid, I didn't really gravitate towards Native Tongue as much as a lot of other people did. I gravitated more towards the Gangster Rap and the NWA. I think the reason for that is because I was very angry as a kid, with stuff that was happening with my father and different things like that. And my anger directed me towards music that sort of, was speaking with a certain level of rage in it. And I used to think Native Tongue was like too soft for like, it was just too soft. And except for like, I like Leaders of the New School and Busta Rhymes when he went solo, and I always loved Latifah. But like Tribe Called Quest was kind of like the I didn't like their first album, because they were like, they were super Native Tongue, but on their second album they found a nice blend. Low End Theory is an incredible album, and then the next album, I'm forgetting the name of it, Midnight Marauders, I think, was also incredible. So they had hard enough beats and bass lines and snares and drums that satisfied my rage at the time, I guess.
Right. I've been told that Tribe Called Quest is going to have a member at AFCC. I'm not sure which one it is. Actually, do you know? I was looking up all of the people that eventually joined the Native Tongue, and what's the name? The Lords of the Underground were actually part of the Native Tongue.
Wow.
Yeah, they were hardcore.
Yeah, I like them too. Yeah.
So I got one more question.
Hold on, one last thing. The thing about Native Tongue too. So this was a moment in hip hop where there was a lot of consciousness.
Right.
It was like
Zulu Nation.
Yeah, like it was a raising of consciousness. So people wearing African medallions and a lot of just pro-Black, pro-African stuff. So that was another contribution they had that was beyond the music, that I definitely was down with. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like the consciousness aspect of it.
Right. I was still in France, in Paris. I'm of Haitian descent, but I was born in France, and like this whole culture to me was gold. I mean, I didn't really understand English like that, but it's something that I really felt. So always been a huge fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I got one more question, as I said, and then I have a request, right? Unfortunately, we can't talk about gangster rap and all that, so we can't really talk about hip hop without talking about the violence as well, and we have lost a lot of our geniuses. We had that conversation before. Some of them, so sad. They kind of saw it coming and they were talking about it in their lyrics, right? You remember when we had that conversation?
Yes.
So it's very sad, man. I call them ancestors, right? So the question is, which one of the following ancestors said the following line? Which one said the following line? Never we sleep, a thug does not rest, because a wise man said it was a cousin of death. Is it Big L? Was that Pac? Was that Pon? Or was that Biggie? Never we sleep, a thug does not rest, because the wise man said it was the cousin of death.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Pac, but I might be wrong. But I'll say Pac.
You are wrong. You want to try again?
Big L.
Wrong again.
Wow. So I don't know who said that.
That was Big Pon.
Wow.
From the Bronx. Yeah. That was him paying homage to the great Nas.
What song is that from?
I am not sure.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
All right, I'll look it up.
Yeah, I'll look it up. Okay, so now I have a request, man.
Yes, sir.
Before we close it, man. You remember that Midnight Marauders cover album where Charcoal Quest invited a whole bunch of friends, to have their heads on it and stuff. So I'm recreating that album cover for my own personal use to have that on my wall, right? So I started designing it, and I have your name right here.
Wow. Thank you, man.
I mean, so these are all my dearest friends and inspiration. And I guess my request is, would you mind being a part of that?
Oh, it would be my honor, man. I appreciate that. Are we dropping the album? You dropping the album?
I don't know what we're doing. We're gonna do something, but for now it's the album cover. So I'm working in reverse, right? So I got all my Negus World family. I got my direct blood family, and I'm taking my time with this project. But I'm gonna ask you to send me like a specific selfie, and as you see him putting the Negus World crown on all of them. So I have my childhood friends and such. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you really are someone that changed my life. I told you that before. More than just me feeling represented, in terms of being educated, but giving me the opportunity, with my French accent and not feeling like I could do what I can do today. You really invited me into your casa home, and you really made me feel like I could do just about anything. And I believe, shout out to Charles Harper once again, Hip Hop Saves Lives, for bringing me, introducing me to Casa, and thank you and the entire staff at Casa Middle School, for inviting me in and making these Black men feel special. And and now I just was with you sitting in your congressional office in Washington, D.C. Which was like an unbelievable experience. So thank you so much.
Of course, man.
Okay,
brother.
I have one more question actually that pertains to Afrofuturism. I'm sorry, I lied. I said that was the last question, but I got one more. So Afro Comic Con theme has always been Afrofuturism and creating and highlighting stories that envision and liberated future for Black folks. What is your Afrofuturism vision?
First of all, good question. I think it should be called Afro presentism, because I don't want Black people to think about a future of freedom. I want us to think about freedom as being right now, present. We don't have to wait for it. We don't have to imagine it. We don't have to create comic books or a fictional world where it exists. We can have it right now, in this world, in this life, in this moment. And we should have it right now. And we should just decide to be free and just decide to do what we need to do to what's the word? To reclaim and claim our self-determination and our self-actualization. And part of that, the creators of Afro Comic Con and the artists that have done this incredible work, they're doing that. They've already claimed their freedom to even create Afro Comic Con and everything that goes with it. You have to be liberated from European sensual colonialism in your mind to even do that. So now I just want to work with and ask the artists to help us to free more minds. Let's bring Afro Comic Con content into public schools and Black communities so the kids can read about this stuff and be like, oh my God, this is amazing. I want to create something else. Education is the answer to all of it. If we do education the right way, we can have our freedom right now. So those are my thoughts. It's not it's in the future, but it's also in the present.
Right. Yeah, that's funny you say that, because I always tell my kid, don't let people tell you that you're your future. You're the present. Telling them that the future is kind of setting them up for procrastination. Right. When is the future now for you? Is that when you're 13 or 14? Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you so much, Congressman Bowman. I guess I'm gonna call you later.
Talk later, man.
Yeah, love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Love.
All right, peace.